Good evening and welcome to today's meeting of the Governance Committee. I'm Councillor Eric Pattenden and I will be chairing the meeting. Today's meeting is being held both over Zoom and with councillors present in the meeting room. In addition to myself, the other members of the committee in attendance are Councillors Dominic Bowick, Carolyn Culver, soon to be joined by Laura Coyle, Owen Jeffrey, Stephanie Stevenson and Howard Wollaston. We also have parish council representation on the committee with Councillor David Southgate and Councillor Anne Budd. Welcome to the both of you. And Simon Carey, independent member for audit, is also in attendance. Hello, Simon. Parish councillors, independent members and members on Zoom are permitted to speak at the meeting, but they are not permitted to propose, second or vote on the items. Nicola Thomas will be advising the meeting. Thomas Radbourne is in attendance as the clerk to the meeting and Sam Chiverton is the Zoom host. If we hear the evacuation alarm this evening, we must leave the building immediately. Please proceed via the safe emergency exit route, which will be shown to us by the trained officers present. Please follow any of their instructions. The assembly point is the car park of the Dolphin Pub. As chairman, with the approval of the committee, I will amend the running order this evening to include the actions from the meeting held on the 30th September 2025 as item 3 on the agenda. And that was a point that we discussed at the last meeting that we were going to have as a standing item. So we now have that, which has been supplied as a supplemental agenda item. So we start with item 1, apologies. Have we received any apologies?
No apologies received, Chairman.
Okay. Can I give an apology from Councillor Cottam? Thank you. Item 2, minutes. There are 2 sets of minutes to be considered and we will vote on them separately. Are members willing to accept the minutes of the 29th of July 2025 as a true and accurate record? Thank you. Proposed by Councillor Jeffrey, seconded by Councillor Wollaston. Any amendments from the floor? Okay, thank you. So can members indicate by raising their hand if they agree that the minutes can be signed? Thank you. And we'll do that afterwards. Next set of minutes, are members willing to accept the minutes of the previous meeting of the 30th of September 2025 as a true and accurate record? I'll therefore propose that the minutes of the meeting held on 30th September to be signed as a correct record. Can I ask for a seconder? Councillor Stevenson, thank you. Any amendments from the floor? No, okay, thank you. So can members please indicate by raising their hand if they agree that the minutes can be signed? Thank you, it's carried. So item 3 is actions from the previous minutes, previous meetings. This item is to receive an update on recommendations and actions following the committee meeting. Let me just get those. Nick, do you want to comment on any of these points in the actions?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to scroll through. So in respect of, I think it's the part 1 action points, I think we've produced a spreadsheet that identifies kind of status, so red and green. Many of those have actually already been actioned and I'm happy to take in any questions around those. And then some of them are sort of in progress and the updates are available for the Governance Committee to consider. But yeah, if there's any particular questions, I'm happy to take those.
Okay. Members, any questions on the actions? Councillor Cole.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Actions 1, 2 and 3, there seems to be some repetition regarding the Constitution Review Task Group and our previous decision to look at this, I think 6 monthly. So there's some repetition in there that we could probably live without. And also wanted to make a comment about action 4, about the having one PDF. I went to look for that earlier. And when I clicked on it, it goes to a page that says Agenda Constitution, Tuesday, 29th of July, 2025. And then there's a long list of PDFs for the Constitution. So I was a little bit confused about that because I thought we were going to have one. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. So the feedback on the accessibility of the Constitution had been to the Constitution Review Group, actually prior to the Governance Committee, it being raised in the Governance Committee, and it was something we were looking at. The central government guidance on accessibility is quite clear that PDF documents are not the best available for individuals. So our Constitution will remain publicised on our website as is, because that's considered to be the best standard to ensure that all can access appropriately. Alongside that, Democratic Services have produced a PDF document that's accessible, and the way to publish that is through our current issue manager system, which is Modern Gov. And members of the public can access that as well as members, and it enables us to issue, in inverted commas, updated constitutions more easily rather than having to take PDF documents down and up. And it's the simplicity. If it's not in one document, I can take that away to understand why, because my understanding was it was intended to be one document. So I'd need to take that away and just get some feedback, because it's not within my skill base.
Thank you very much. I'll send the link through to Ms. Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the actions? No? Okay, thank you. I think this is a useful document, so let's maintain this going forward and we'll review it at each meeting in future. Thank you. So that's item 3 is an item to note only. Next, we have declarations of interest. Have we received any declarations of interest?
No declarations of interest have been received, Chairman.
Thank you. Any from the floor? No, thank you. Next item is the forward plan. Would officers and members like to propose any amendments to the forward plan? Councillor Culver.
Did we have the Constitution Review Task Group item as a standing item in there? Because I did a word search and I couldn't see it in the work programme. I think we were going to schedule it every 6 months.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'm sure the clerk can make a note of that, but there is ongoing. So we've got today Constitution updates for your consideration, and there is ongoing work you'll see from that paper on the scheme of delegation. And again, that is making swift progress. So I'd anticipate that that would be coming back before you in the early new year. So it may well be you want to schedule 6 months after that, because work should become more business as usual rather than kind of the wholesale updates that have been coming through.
Okay, so we're going to have that as every 6 months. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Councillor Stevenson.
So do I understand it that the Constitutional Revision Group is working the whole time? It's working in the background, taking small parts of the Constitution and looking at them closely. So I suppose it can't appear in our forward plan because it's going to dribble through to us whenever it needs to, a new part of revision or something. So that's why we're not necessarily putting it in on set dates. It will come through to us when it needs to. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Thank you, Chair. So the Constitution updates, the last main update should be the scheme of delegation, which is ongoing in the background. And you're quite right, the Constitution review group has been meeting monthly up until now. However, kind of going forward, it's something for the Constitution Review Group to consider how often they meet, given that we are in a more, I would say, kind of routine updates. We have a duty to make sure it continues to be reviewed and updated, but it will be a more routine basis. So how frequently they meet after this next and hopefully final major update comes through to the governance process will be considered. So subject to the chair's views, I would anticipate that comes through to the governance committee sort of February time. So you may want to schedule it in sort of prior to the summer break.
Mrs. Clark, would you like to come in?
Yeah, so I think it is just to confirm that it would be best practice to have those regular reviews, because we need to ensure that the Constitution is updated to reflect changes to legislation, etc. And I think that was the point that was made at the last meeting that Councillor Culver is referring to. And I think it's quite right that that should be reflected on the forward plan. So I think that is the point that I think we take away to Ms Thomas's point, that we'll be bringing the kind of current piece of work back in the new year. And then actually we should have as standard something at least twice a year coming to this committee, and we can bring things forward more frequently if necessary. But I think we should have that, because the governance committee would want that assurance that that work is ongoing and that we are updating as required.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Carey.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one, briefly. It's item 4 stated as forward plan. The document we're presented with is classed as a work programme. Is there a difference?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. We're discussing the forward plan from the agenda, but the document we're looking at is a work programme. Is that the same thing as the forward plan?
Yes, I believe it is. I'm happy to be corrected if.
No, I think it is essentially the same thing. I suspect that we've used a template that was called a work programme, but it is in effect the forward plan for this committee. So I think it is organised in accordance with the future scheduled dates of this meeting and the business that we anticipate coming forward at those meetings. And that's to enable the committee to manage its business. If there's too much on an agenda, for example, then the chairman may wish to consider whether an extraordinary meeting is required in addition to the scheduled meetings to ensure that the committee has sufficient time to consider those items.
Yeah. Just for the avoidance of any doubt and to prevent confusion, could that document be renamed the forward plan? Would it not make sense? The one that we have been presented with.
Yes, I think that's a good point. Thank you, Mr. Carey. We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the forward plan? Okay, well then we move to the next item, which is constitutional updates. And Nikki, would you like to give us an introduction to that? Okay. I'm looking for a proposer for the constitutional updates. I'm happy to propose, and Councillor Jeffrey to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I wasn't going to go through the individual updates because you have both a track change document in respect of the proposed updates and then a clean copy. So hopefully it reads a little bit more clearly because there have been considerable changes proposed. However, so the outline is, so there's two separate sections that have been updated. The main one is the Part 8 contract rules, and those updates reflect with the introduction and implementation of the Procurement Act 2023. So there have been some changes around how we conduct ourselves. And most importantly, that members may wish to draw their attention to is around paragraph, I think it's 4.7, around the changes of thresholds. So, sorry, 5.7. So the threshold for decision making is in line with the procurement legislation. So we've defined it as threshold that will be detailed onto the procurement team's website, so everyone can access that. and it will reflect the thresholds that are set by central government, which is, as I understand it, £179,904, very specific, which is an increase from the present levels of 50,000. Whilst that might feel quite a considerable jump, I may feel that that's perhaps increasing the risks. That threshold hasn't actually increased in the last decade. So actually, on the face of it, is not actually that significant. It's just that it hasn't been amended. In addition to that, and sort of alongside, it's not proposed that comes into being until the 1st of April, so the next financial year, and that will enable both the procurement team and the legal team to undertake some training with individual managers within the service areas so that they are updated and aware of their responsibilities around this, and ensure that the resources available to support those managers making their decisions is available both on the internet and through training. So that's the contract rules and the proposals that are outlined there. The second element is the Part 13, and that continues the work on our codes and protocols and updates Appendix D, which is the protocol for use of ICT equipment supplied to members. It's not a significant update. We've moved some of the information that actually should be available on our internet rather than actually in the Constitution. Contacts have no place in the Constitution as those regularly change, and actually would be more useful, I imagine, for members to be available on the internet rather than the Constitution, which is already identified as quite a considerable document. So it's proposed that those be taken forward through the governance process, so they'd go to the next meeting of council in a couple of weeks for final approval, but would always welcome any comments and input from the governance committee as to those proposals.
Thank you. Members, any comments? Councillor Berwick.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Thomas. I think we accept that there has not been an increase in the threshold for a number of years, but we're almost quadrupling the threshold in this change, thereby practically reducing the level of political oversight here. How many contracts are likely to fall outside of member scrutiny now, and what safeguards will there be to ensure transparency and value for money for contracts just below the threshold?
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Beck. So my understanding of the changes is actually it doesn't change the input of member oversight on those that would be key decisions. So that would still need to come through the governance process. This is purely about individual service directors and executive directors making decisions about contracts that fall within their own directorate without the need, because at the present time they have to seek approval through internal governance processes, which require significant officer input from both the procurement team, legal team, as well as the service, which it is not in line with the current procurement legislation, which suggests that actually local authorities are able to raise that threshold to the suggested level in the paper.
Thank you.
Councillor Williston.
Forgive me, Chairman, for some reason my laptop doesn't like my password, so I can't use Seeks at the document. But I'm just, because I read through the whole document this morning, and there's effectively the three parts of it. There's a report, then there's the new proposed constitution, and then there's the amended, or the track change one. And I have to say I got confused. So forgive me, but what I'm interested in most of all is those contracts above 2.5 million, and just what consents they require and what the process is and how they're checked.
Thanks, Councillor. I appreciate that having the two documents can be confusing. So just to clarify that the clean copy is what's proposed going forward. If you want to look at what we've changed, is the second document. So I appreciate there's no easy way of going through it. In terms of contracts of 2.5 million, that would exceed our key decision threshold. We're not changing the scheme of delegation around that. So those would have to come through through our governance process for approval for members.
And would that mean they come to executive?
It would depend on the decision being made, but yes, usually. It depends if it's a council function or executive function.
Sorry, why wouldn't it come to executive?
It depends on the matter, on the contract matter, as to whether it was a council decision or a executive decision. But regardless, it would need a member decision.
Forgive me, I don't see the distinction between the two. What's the difference?
Because some functions as a council, some functions of West Berkshire Council are delegated to, or an executive function under the legislation, whereas some are reserved for council. It's very.
Forgive me for chasing on this, but what would be? Could you give me an example of one that would be on either side?
A decision that's reserved for council, which we do delegate, is planning, for example. That can't be delegated, whereas the executive decision is pretty much it's.
But planning doesn't have any financial element to it.
No, I can't think of one off the top of my head that would have financial implication off the top of my head. But regardless, any decision that would be 2.5 million would come for a member decision. It would not be made by individual executive directors or any other officers.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at the first line of Appendix B, and it may seem trivial, but item A says above £1,000 and less than 25,000. At least one quote. Well, it's got to be one quote at least, because otherwise there's no offer of a service. But I still feel that one isn't enough. All the others, of course, go up 3 and then 5, but I just feel that even up to the sum of 25,000, as a householder, you'd never accept a contract for 25,000 with only just one quote, or you'd be rather foolish if you did. I just think that it should be more than one, but that's just my view.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. Actually, the number of quotes isn't being amended. It's always been one quote.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments, questions? In which case, as there's no more, would members like to indicate by raising their hand that they are happy to recommend this going to council for adoption? Thank you. That's carried. And that's the close of the meeting. So thank you very much for attending this evening. Hopefully everyone stays warm tonight. And thanks very much.
Yeah. The live.